Hello everyone, welcome to Infinite Realms again, another haul video. This one's going to be a little different. This one is going to be all from Big Bad Toy Stores. Now, Big Bad Toy Store does not sponsor me in any way. I'm not endorsing them in any way. We'll say one thing I've always liked about Big Bad Toy Store is that they have that option for pile of loot. Sometimes, get a few pre-orders in, wait a little while, helps you save on shipping. I like that idea. I like that you can hold those in your pile of loot for a little while. You can't hold them indefinitely, they got a rule about that. But you can hold them in there for a little while. And then, ship a few things out all at the same time. So, without further ado, let's taco about what I ordered. First up, okay, I'm going to get this one out of the way because, I kind of bought this figure on a whim. I don't regret him necessarily, but at the same time, he's not the best figure for this character. The Maestro, aka Future Imperfect Hulk. Now, essentially they just put a new head, a couple of gauntlets, and a necklace on the Hulk figure, the 80th Hulk figure. And then just repaint it. Now, they can look at Old Man Logan and say, well, look, the Maestro. But then, first off, that's not the Maestro. That's old Hulk. It's not the Maestro. Maestro is a character of a possible future as the Hulk. So, they point at Old Man Logan and say, you look, it's the same thing. Well, it's not. Okay, and I knew this walking in. I don't know, I kind of hoped in hand I would get a different view on this, and I don't. Don't get me wrong, I'm keeping the figure because I just wanted a Maestro figure, really. And I mean, the Maestro had a look to him. I mean, wears boots, and most of his figures previously had some kind of difference from the Hulk, which he should. This one's just basically the Hulk with a necklace and a couple of gauntlets. And I'm a little more than a little disappointed in that. I would have liked to have seen, something else done. I mean, again, I knew this walking in, and I really hesitated on this one a lot. But then I just thought, look, how long has it been since we had a Maestro figure? That was back in the Toy Biz days. Was the last one we had. How long is it going to be before we have another one? I mean, he's not high on the list of people's want list. So, I think he's higher than most people would think, but he's not very high. So, I bent and I bought him, and do I regret it? A little, but not enough that I'm gonna resell him or anything. I mean, he's okay. He's not terrible, but I do kind of like him. So I'm only gonna give him 3.5 stars. I mean, he's kind of serviceable in the role, but he's not what you think of when you look at the Maestro. So I'm going to move on to something better. This is Dagger. Yeah. A while ago I said I got Cloak. And what good is Cloak without Dagger? Well, here's Dagger. Dagger is a hard figure to really nail down because, let's just face it, the costume's kind of plain. It's just a white outfit. And then you throw the daggers. I mean, what are you going to do with that? There's not much you can do. It's kind of plain. I mean, she's not a bad figure in any way, shape, or form. She's not a great figure either. So it's kind of almost the same as Cloak. I mean, I feel a little let down by both of these, but at the same time, as a team together, they're all right. I mean, I always, it's kind of like Cloak and Dagger as a team. I mean, their comics was like, I'd read this, they'd have a series and it would only last like a year or two, and then they cancel and they come back a couple of years later. Have a series and it would only last about a year or two, and that happened a lot with Cloak and Dagger. A lot of people just didn't know what to do with them, I don't think. There was always a few stories I read, oh, that was kind of interesting. That, each run had at least a couple of stories that were interesting, and that kind of kept me going with them. But yeah, this figure, I mean, she's perfectly serviceable as Dagger. She's not a terrible figure in any way. She's got that little light thing on the side there that's kind of stuck to her head that is pretty cool. I mean, at least they gave us that, you know. Now, here she is compared with Symbiote Spider-Man and Firestar. And I mean, you know, she fits in real well there. I mean, that's perfectly good. And of course, here she is with Cloak himself. And you know, I mean, now this I'll say, they look like they kind of go together. I mean, they really do. They really almost seem like they were made to go together. I mean, she can step out of the cloak and be throwing her daggers, and that looks pretty good actually. So maybe that's maybe that's the part I didn't quite catch when I got Cloak. So I can kind of bend with that and go with it. I mean, I'll give her you know, 4 stars. I think I gave Cloak 4 stars, so you know, they're workable. They function as they are. Okay, now we're gonna move on to one I didn't think I'd like as much as I do. Blink. I always liked Blink. She was I always thought she was one of the more interesting things to come out of Age of Apocalypse. And then when she started with the Exiles, that was even better. That was just great. So, you know, I always liked her. And so, of course, I wanted to get a figure of her. You know, but I saw the figure, I was like, yeah, she's kind of plain, so I don't know, maybe. And I kept ho-humming about it, and I finally just bought her. And I actually like the figure more than I thought I would. The little tunic skirt is kind of flowing, and it's a little weird at first, but then, you know, you start messing around, and I like this little effect where she can kind of go into a portal. That's kind of cool. You know, and her little daggers, and I just think it ends up looking a lot cooler than I thought it would. I wasn't expecting that, and you know, the figure itself is pretty decent. Not perfect anyway, but decent and good enough. I was really surprised, though. I thought I would be like, okay, this is a character I like, but this is not the best figure, and I'm a little bit going around the other way now. It's like, oh, this is a character I like, has a really good figure. So, again, I really love the effect, and I love how easy it is to work with her on that effect. It's like, oh, well, I can just set it down and have her just be like popping it, you know, just put her kind of on her knees, and she looks like she's going into a portal. It works. It does work. Harder to do with if you try to do a standing up effect. I think you're going to need something to support that, but it still is a very nifty, neat effect. So I say, you know, play with it a little bit, see what you like. I'll give her 4.5 stars. I was really pleasantly surprised by her. And for some comparison, we've got Deadpool and Wolverine, her X-Men friends. Even though she never really joined the X-Men that I ever remember. I'm not positive on that. She was more in the Exiles, but still, you know, so she's considered kind of part of the X-Men. And the other thing I didn't realize was that Blink's power would complement Scarlet Witch's colors so well. And that's kind of interesting. They both, I mean, you know, they both kind of complement each other really well. They match up the colors. It's pretty cool. So I have a plan to put them kind of close together on my display shelf just because they complement each other so well. And I left out Spider-Woman, but there's Spider-Woman as well. Good figure. Next up is Dormammu. Dormammu, I am here to talk. Dorma. I hesitated on this figure because the pictures I saw didn't look quite the way I wanted them. You know, I was like, oh, that's not Dormammu. Looked at the Build-A-Figure, and I was, you know, no. And again, it was like I'm looking around Big Bad Toy Store, and it's like, oh, this is kind of cool. Okay. And so I bent, and I you know, I bought it. I was like, well, I need a Dormammu. And, you know, to my surprise, when I got him in hand, there was a couple of things I didn't realize. First and foremost, you know, I couldn't see in the pictures his face in the flames. It totally was not noticeable to me. It wasn't until I got him in hand I could see it. And I don't know why you don't see that in the pictures. I mean, I just saw a flaming head with an expression on it. I didn't see the two colors. I think the color should be yellower, more yellowish, but it's still not bad. And actually, let me take and put a light behind it. It actually looks really good with a light behind it. And that's something I've not seen any reviewers do with Dormammu. Those little horns bugged me too. And I know that, you know, in some later appearances he has those. And but my surprise was they're only held on by a little rubber band, and it can come right off. They're not held on there very long. There's a little piece underneath his chin that holds it. I was like, I don't care about that, and I just put it in my accessory drawer. And that's it. That's done. I don't need that. I don't want it on my figure. And I don't have to have it on my figure. Yay! Yippee! Yay me! So, this ended up being a better figure than I thought it would. I got a Dormammu that's close to what I wanted. You know, he's got those little flames that go around his hands. It's like, that's alright, but that's not something major. So, you know, again, it's a pretty good serviceable figure, and it's surprising how much mileage they've gotten out of this figure, because I believe this was used for Red Skull, and parts of it were used for Baron Zemo as well. So, again, kind of funny. For some comparison, here is Kang and Taskmaster. And then along with comic Doctor Strange, and of course, Dormammu's going to try to kill Doctor Strange. He's never going to. Too bad. Okay, so now we get to the main reason for this purchase. The 80th anniversary version of Iron Man. And it wasn't the retail price, it was a little bit more, but I paid it anyway because I really wanted this figure bad. I thought it looked like a cool figure, and I'll be a little bit honest, I grabbed Stealth Iron Man and AI Iron Man for the reason that I was like, at least I got the mold. I thought I'd never get a chance at this at a reasonable price. This was a little above the retail price, but below what you would pay on the secondhand market. So, I really like the gold on this. Of course, I mean, how could you not like the gold? I mean, on the red, it's a perfect version, perfect gold, is what I'm getting at. With it comes an Alex Ross head. I'm not a huge fan of that one. I know it's supposed to be a little bit more realistic, leaving room for a nose. I don't know, I just think it looks weird. And I appreciate the effort, but it's just not something that appeals to me. And then you have a much better Tony Stark head than we've had before or since, I think. Unless they repainted it or something. I don't think it's the same one with the stealth suit Iron Man. I have to get that out and check. It might be the one with the AI. I know it's not the one that comes with the 20th Marvel Legends anniversary. And he's got blasts. I've seen these with, I want to say Silver Centurion. These came out with next. These blasts, it has a bigger blast behind it. So, you know, there's a little bit of like, oh, I've seen these before. But at the time, no, you wouldn't have. So, I'm kind of okay with that. I'm not going to get too complainy about it. So, for some comparison, here we have Iron Man with the version 1 Iron Man from the first wave of Marvel Legends. Not the version 1, sorry. I meant the first wave of Marvel Legends. The classic Iron Man suit from, I believe, Iron Man 3. And you can see how much they've improved. I mean, they had those little ball hips that I just hated at the time. Now, I kept this figure because, again, I'm just an Iron Man nut. I do like, you know, you can see a lot of improvement done over the years with the toys. So that's a good thing. Then, of course, you see him beside of AI Iron Man and Stealth Suit Iron Man. And just for some better comparisons, here's Heroic Age Iron Man, and of course, Symbiote Spider-Man. Just give you an idea of kind of how he looks with other figures. I mean, we've seen this mold a couple of times now. We kind of get an idea how it fits in. So I don't feel like I need to do too much in the way of comparison. But I think it was a good haul. Thank you for Big Bad Toy Store. I ordered this over the course of about 2 weeks. I believe how I did it was I ordered Maestro and Iron Man first, and I kind of had them in my pile of loot. And then I went back when, on after payday, and I went, okay, I want a couple more things, and I added in the rest. So, and it was just me scrolling through the page going, oh, yeah, well, I need that. So, that's kind of how that worked out. But again, that'll wrap it up for Infinite Realms. Don't forget to like and subscribe.